Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to talk about set theory and Bauer's paradox. So, set theory. So, theory is about set. Okay. So, I think everyone's more or less familiar with a set. So, can anyone tell me what do you think a set is? A set. Yeah.
Bunch of
A
numbers
group
together.
of numbers.
Yes.
A group of numbers.
A group of numbers.
Yeah.
Okay. So can other things other than numbers be in a set?
A collection of things, maybe. I don't know, group of things, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, a group of things. Okay. So a set usually we mean by a well-defined collection of objects. So from this description, so basically anything can be in a set. So you can do it. You can put numbers in. You can put formulas in. You can put anything you like in. So a collection of objects, and it has to be well defined. So what's well defined mean? That means that you can judge it whether something is in a set or not. Not some fake statements like all the tall man or something like that. So how do you define tall? That's a vague description. Okay, so a set. So we use capital letters to denote a set, and we can write like this using curly braces. You collect things in the braces. Like it can be anything you want. Like I can put like a set. That's a set. Anything can be in it. But you know that this is by no means a definition, a formal definition of a set. I will come to that later since we have a problem with this kind of descriptions. It's not rigorous. Okay? So when we talk about set, here's a set. And the objects the objects in a set, we call it members or elements. So we can say that an element is in the set or not, right? So in this case, A, we can say that the small letter A is in the set. We say that A belongs to the set A. Also B belongs to the set A, right? But 2 does not belong to the set A. So this is basically notations. Use big letters for capital letters for the set and lower letters for the elements, and we can see that whether an element is in the set or not. Okay, so let's come to the second part of today's lesson, Bauer's paradox. The Bauer's paradox is about set theory. It's actually a version of a more generalized paradox found by a British logician and mathematician, Russell. So the Bauer's paradox goes like this. Can I read this? Someone said there is a barber in a village who says he barbers and only barbers those men who do not shave. He shaves and only shaves those men who do not shave themselves. Okay, let me repeat it. So the barber says, I shave and only shave those men who do not shave themselves. So if I shave for myself, the barber will not shave me. And if I don't shave for myself, I'll go to the barber. Okay? So everyone got this? A barber says, I shave and only shave those men who do not shave themselves. So this is a statement. And then someone someday comes to the barber and said, will you shave yourself? Anyone see the contradiction?
Yeah.
You see the contradiction? Can you explain it to everyone?
Yeah. It says, okay, barber shaves only people who doesn't shave themselves. Okay?
Yeah.
Who doesn't shave themselves, but okay, if he shaves people, like, who shaves? Barber, no, in that case, like, if then he doesn't shave himself also, okay, maybe, I don't know, he shaves or shave not, may shave not, I don't know.
Yeah, the problems comes, let's say if the barber, whether he'll shave himself or not, if he says I'll shave myself, so he belongs to the people who shave themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
So according to his words, he should not shave himself, right? If he says I don't want to shave myself, then according to his statement, he'll shave himself. So either way, it's a contradiction. So why there is a contradiction, and why it's related to the set theory? So let's say, okay, there was a barber. The people who he shaves is collected in the set A. Okay, set A is X. Those X do not shave itself or shave himself. Okay, so there are set all those elements who all those people who do not shave themselves, and then we ask the question: barber A in A or not? Okay, so if we say this is true, so this A is an X, do not shave himself, okay, do not shave himself, and let's say okay, we use this notation to denote X do not shave himself. So if A shaves himself, okay, the A is in this. So this statement is true. So X should have this property, right? So we start with this, and we come to the conclusion that A is not in A. And if we start with this, so this A have this property, so he should be in this set, right? So we come to the conclusion. So either way, it's a contradiction. So this is what's called a barber's paradox. Everyone get the idea? So why is it a contradiction?
So what can we learn from this paradox?
Yeah, what can we learn from this paradox? This means that if we say the set is a collection of objects and we allow everything in it, it will cause a problem. Okay, so we cannot let everything goes into the set. The set is too large, out of control. So modern field theory comes up with some ideas. So let's restrict it ourselves so we won't come into the problem. Okay, so let me use just last one sentence. So how do we avoid this problem? The set theorists said that let's restrict to ourselves. So okay, we ban this. Okay, so whenever you want to form a set, you should have already a set, and you can do it within the set itself. Okay, so what basically means is that the modern set theorist says that we cannot have this statement true. So this statement itself is invalid. So you cannot form a set using this statement. Okay. So if we make this assumption, so this statement is invalid, so this is no longer a set. So we cannot talk about it. So this is basically how to avoid the barber's paradox. It's quite famous in the history. One day people wake up, find that those things they worked on for years have some big problems that they cannot solve. So
a set can't include everything.
No, that's not a set. So it's not a set. So we cannot say that a set of all sets.
Oh.
So, but there are some theories that can talk about something of all sets that called a class. It's different from set. So set theory at last becomes that we assume that there was a set. We don't know whether there was a set exists. Let's assume that there was a set exists, and we build our theory up upon the assumption that we have a set, and we build a set larger, and generate all things we can generate, and put ourselves within that framework. That's all the set theory do. So the basic says that this cannot generate a set. All set we can generate are from certain process. This is not within our process, so this is not a set. We cannot talk about it. That's basically.